Never cured and smoked your own ham? Want to impress your holiday guests? Watch this. Today we are making our very own ham, and we're going to be starting with a fresh ham or a green ham. Fresh hams are available at your local butcher. They're pretty hard to find in a supermarket setting, so what I did is I contacted my local butcher, called ahead a few days, and they got it for me no problem. This fresh ham I ordered is a whole ham. Whole hams are going to come anywhere between 15 and 24 pounds. This one is coming in just over 17 pounds. You can also order a half a ham, which would be about half the size and half the bone. This is also a skinless ham. We don't want to have to deal with any of that. It'll hinder our brining and curing process, and we would just want to take that off anyway. So the way I ordered it comes skin off. We ordered it bone in. Now you can get boneless hams as well if you want to cure and brine that, but we're looking for a bone-in ham for moisture content and for flavor. That bone is going to add a bunch of flavor to our final smoked product. First thing we want to do is get some cure into our ham. For that, we're going to do some injections. The reason we want to do that is we want to get cure as close to the center and close to that bone as possible. That's going to help with moisture, that's going to help with flavor, and it's going to help us get a really even cure. For this step, we're looking to get about 10 to 15% of the ham's actual weight injected into the flesh of the ham. And for our brine, we're going to be using our all-purpose meat cure and brine mix. This has the sugars, the salts, and the sodium nitrite that we want for our brine, all in one package. All I have to do is mix this with some water and we'll be ready to inject. I've got about 32 ounces of liquid here, and I've added 6 tablespoons of our cure mix, and that should be all I need to inject. We've got our brine mix ready, so I've got our injector. Fill that up, and then I'm going to go into the meat about halfway through, because that'd be the center, and slowly push down the plunger as we pull the needle out. And that'll give us an even distribution of liquid throughout that injection site. And we'll just do that until our syringe is empty and keep going. And see, I just hit bone there. That's a good sign. That means I'm close to an area that I want to really focus on when I'm injecting. Don't want to overfill it, but you want to make sure you get all around that bone to help instill those flavors, and that cure as well is going to help avoid any food safety issues. So again, I feel some bone here, so I'm going to concentrate a little bit more on that area. So we want to make sure those areas, which are going to be some of the densest parts of the ham, are really well cured before we go into the smoke. Now I'm going to get our wet brine together. There's a chart on here that is going to guide you to the correct amounts of brine for whatever it is you're brining, whether it's a turkey or a ham in our case. So for our size, I need 2 gallons of water and 3 cups of brine mix. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get our ham into the brine bag, and I'm going to set that in a brine bucket. That's going to make it really easy for us to pour our brine in and avoid any leakage issues. Can he do it? Oh, yeah, one try. Now you can just put it straight into the brine bucket. What you'd want to do there is probably put a weight down on top of the ham to keep it submerged. I like using a brine bag in this instance as well as the brine bucket. The brine bucket will assure I don't have any leakage issues should the brine bag fail, but this way I don't have to do as many dishes when I'm done. Again, a wonderful thing about our meat cure and brine mix is it has everything in it. It has the salts, it has the sugars, but it also has the sodium nitrite, prog powder, pink salt, whatever you want to call it, already in there. All you have to do is find your measurements and mix it in with some cool water, and your brine is ready to go. I'm going to seal up our brine bag. We're going to roll it down just a little bit, being careful not to lose any liquid, but we're going to try and eliminate as much of the air in there as possible as well. Now this is going to go into the cooler for 8 days. What we're looking to do is brine this ham 1 day for every 2 pounds of meat. So we have a 17-pound ham, so we're looking at about 8.5 days for our brine. All right, 8 days later, and our ham should be fully brined at this point. So what we need to do now is get it out of the brine, get it rinsed. Then we're going to put it on a rack-lined sheet tray and into the fridge so that it can dry out and form the pellicle. And that should take about 24 to 36 hours before we're ready to smoke. We're just going to go over with a paper towel and get this as dry as possible. All that extra moisture is just not needed, and it's actually going to hinder our smoking process, so we want to get this as dry as possible. I have our ham set up on a rack-lined sheet tray, and this is going to go into the fridge for about 24 to 36 hours. You want the rack on there so that there's some airflow underneath the ham, so again, we can dry out all sides of the ham so that when that pellicle forms, we get really good flavor and smoke absorption. And after all that, we'll be ready to smoke. When I took it home, I seasoned it really well with apple pie rub. Apple pie has the brown sugar, cinnamon, and clove flavors that are going to go really well with our ham. Then I put the ham in a stockinette, tied a knot in the end, and I hung it in a preheated smoker which I had set to 225 degrees. I inserted a probe so I could monitor from inside, and I smoked it for about 13.5 hours until we reached an internal temperature of 155 degrees. Then, the next day, I let it rest at room temperature for about half an hour just to reset all the juices inside the ham. And then I placed it back in a brine bag and put it in an ice bath so I could cool it down rapidly. Once it got down to about 70 degrees in the ice bath, I put it on a rack and placed it in the fridge overnight to cool completely. And now, here we are. At this point, we have a few options. We can double smoke the entire ham, depending on how many people you're feeding. That would be a great option. This was about 17 pounds, so I'm thinking this would feed 30 to 35 people. So if you have a big gathering, awesome. Double smoke the whole thing. We're feeding about 15, so we're gonna cut this down in half and we're gonna double smoke it. The rest, I'm gonna take off the bone immediately too. I'm gonna slice it and cube it, pack it up as I need it, freeze it. It'll be good for a few months so we get the most out of this ham. Our bone is traveling from here to here, and it kind of does a little bit of a curve. So what I'm going to do for our roast is I'm going to take it right down there, hopefully leading to about a 6-pound roast. Oh, and there it is. And if you look here, we've got some really nice coloration once I got into this. Got some good even pink colors. It smells amazing. Looks like our cure got really deep into it with the injections that we did, which is exactly what we wanted for flavor, salt, everything. And then it looks like we got a decent amount of smoke on here too. So I'm really excited to give this a try. And now I'm just gonna score this just a little bit. And I'm gonna give it a little bit more rub before we go on the smoker for the double smoke. Just a little bit more of a light coating. Flavor on top of flavor is the idea here. All seasoned up, we're ready for the smoker. So we double smoked our piece of ham here. I started at 225 for about 2 hours to really instill some more smoke flavor into it. And then we jacked up the temperature, gave it a cherry bomb barbecue glaze, and we're finally ready to try our ham. We got a really nice glaze on this. The knife just went through beautifully. It's nice and tender. It looks juicy. I'm really excited to try this. All right. It looks like we got really nice color in here again. Nice and juicy. It's falling apart. Let's see what it tastes like. Absolutely wonderful. I don't know that I've ever had a more tender ham. It's juicy. Super flavorful. The double smoke came through really well. The sugars and the salts of the initial brine give us a really good base flavor for our ham. And for the holidays, with Easter and Christmas being classic times to have ham, I can't think of a better way to show off your curing and smoking talents. I'm gonna give it a little bit more for myself before I feed the rest of them. Oh, just looks amazing. If I can suggest, the double smoke on this too really played well. It gives a really nice, sweet, woody flavor. It's amazing. All in all, our ham took us about 10 days from start of the brine to the end of the smoke, and I couldn't be happier with the way it turned out. For this recipe and more, click subscribe, check out our YouTube page. You can also follow us on Instagram. And until next time, I'm Chef Jed. Thanks for watching.